Tumle. Over to Anand Tumle.
In 1848, Marx and Engels wrote in Communist Manifesto, the executive of modern state is but a committee for organizing common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. Indeed, state has been working for the interests of the dominant classes ever. Capitalism is a bug-ridden system, and it threw up a big bug in the form of Great Depression in 1929, which required a Keynesian patch to save capitalism. It saved capitalism all right, but it camouflaged the basic character of the state and created an illusion of something like relative autonomy. Many intellectuals kept on imagining and debating over two streams of autonomies: reproductive autonomy and transformative autonomy. In short term, the practice corroborated it, but in long term, this Marxian dictum in manifesto actually held true. Keynesian patch worked all right for a few decades, but this bug was still keeping out appearing. And by 1980s, it could no more be managed by any patch. They release a new version called neoliberalism, a neoliberal globalization in common parlance. This neoliberalism actually bared the true character of the state. It removed that illusion of autonomy, etc., and bared the true character of the state. The state assumed naked instrumentality for dispossessing people for capitalist accumulation. What is happening in Chhattisgarh, what is happening in Jangal Mahal, what is happening in Kalinganagar or elsewhere is basically exhibition of this bare character of the state. This state has unleashed a virtual war against people. Virtual war on people, and that is the topic of today's meeting. Whether this war is being fought with the visual weapons of police, paramilitary, or military tomorrow, or invisible weapons of public policy like SEZs and RTE, Right to Education Act for that matter, this is also a weapon. It is a war on people. We may confuse ad infinitum the issues, the complex issues involved in that, but this war is there to be seen by anyone. It just needs the pro-people attitude and pro-people vision. We have two speakers here, two public intellectuals at that, who have been endowed with this vision in full measure. They do not require any introduction, and without taking much time, I would invite Gautam Navlakha to deliver his speech. Thank you.
I'd like to thank CPDR for giving me this opportunity to share my view on what all of us know is one of the most gravest issues that confronts us. It's a war against our people. I'm not going to take too much of time. I know that a lot of you have come here to listen to Arundhati, so I'll try and run through what I have to say to enable her to speak to you. Let me start by, I'm also slightly nervous because each time I get up to speak, I don't know whether I'll make sense. Let me begin by pointing out that this meeting that has been called, which is on the topic of the war against our people. If I were to open my mouth and come out in support of the Maoist, I can be hauled up under Section 39 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and the organizers of the meeting can also be picked up. So we are obviously, in a way, in a manner of speaking, throwing a challenge also to the state. Of course, the Home Ministry came out with a statement and made it very clear, and they've explained what they mean by it by saying that anybody who speaks in favor of Maoists can be hauled up against Section 39 for supporting the Maoists. The Prime Minister, it was very nice of Dr. Manmohan Singh to come out and explain what he felt. He said that in democracy, everyone is entitled to express their views and should face no restrictions so long as they do not engage in advocacy for violence. So this is like an endorsement. I mean, this is like a support for me that I can speak my mind. Except there is a caveat. So long as they do not engage in advocacy for violence. On the face of it, Prime Minister's remark is an endorsement, okay, for freedom of expression. But what does he mean when he says that so long as they do not engage in advocacy for violence? Does support for use of violence by state fall within this caveat? Does support for structural violence, such as advocating retaining the present state, the present status quo, or maintaining the status quo, which involves structural violence and slow genocide, is that permitted? Does right to resist oppression or right to self-defense, does it apply, or can I be hauled up? If I advocate overthrow of the state and a transformation of state and society by peaceful means if possible, but armed if necessary, will I be hauled up? Well, I leave it to the authorities to make up their mind, and if they do decide to act against CPDR and us, well, so be it. Because time has come for us to actually raise certain fundamental issues. And I'm really actually, to begin with, we should all be very angry. We should all be very angry because for 63 years, we have done nothing when the state has declared war against our people. We have taken it in our stride. You take a poll here, 99% of the people will vote in favor of peaceful transformation or against violence, right? But how many of us have dared raise fundamental issues about what our state has been doing since 1947, since the transfer of power? There's not a single year in the last 63 that we have had since the transfer of power, when the state has not been engaged in a war in one or the other part of this country. Today we have landed up in 2010, as I speak, 22 districts in Jammu and Kashmir, 79 districts in Northeast, and 34 districts according to the government of India, where some form of armed conflict is going on. 235 districts out of 636, there is an armed conflict going on. Does it matter to us? No. I think we are the biggest hypocrites. I pardon my saying so, we are the biggest hypocrites. We talk about peace, we talk about non-violence, we talk about peaceful transformation, we are against political violence and everything, but we don't mean it. I'm sorry we don't mean it, because if that had been so, we would be out on the streets. We would be out on the streets protesting against, for the last 63 years, for the wars that our state has launched against our people. And every year that the war has been launched, we have been quiet, because we accept war. Look at it. The corporate media has accepted that the train blast, one can never condone any attack on civilians. Let me begin with this caveat. But we don't know the truth. There are a lot of problems with it. Trinamool Congress would like to believe that it's CPM's hand behind it. I don't know. CPM and others